Have you ever stopped to think why some people manage to build a fortune while others spend their entire lives trapped in debt? The secret may lie in a simple habit: saving only 10% of everything you earn. It may not seem like much, but this strategy has the power to completely transform your financial life. Imagine never worrying about paying late bills again, having money left over for emergencies, and even retiring early. Does it seem impossible? The truth is that most people never learn how to manage money. They spend everything they earn and, often even more than they earn. The result? A vicious cycle of debt, anxiety, and frustration. But what if there was a simple and effective way to reverse this situation? Today you will discover the power of the 10% rule. I will show you why this technique works, how to apply it to your daily life, and most importantly, how to make the money you save work for you. If you want to get out of the rat race and achieve financial freedom, stay with me until the end of this video. In the end, I will show you a practical method to start applying this rule right now without suffering. Now tell me, are you ready to change your financial life once and for all? Why do people never save? Every day, millions of people work hard, receive their salary, and before the month is even over, the money disappears. Bills, debts, unnecessary expenses, and when an emergency arises, despair takes over. The problem is not how much you earn, but how you manage that money. Most people do not have a financial plan. They live paycheck to paycheck, believing that earning more would solve all their problems. But the truth is that, without control, the more you earn, the more you spend. This is called lifestyle inflation. Have you ever noticed that whenever your salary increases, your expenses increase in the same proportion? This is the reason why many well-paid professionals also live in debt. Another problem is the lack of financial education. No one teaches us how to deal with money. We grew up hearing phrases like, "Money is dirty," "Only rich people can," "Invest or saving money is for those who earn a lot." These beliefs trap us in a scarcity mentality, but there is a way out. And this way out starts with a simple change in habits, setting aside 10% of your salary before spending a single cent. It may seem like little, but this small amount, when accumulated and invested correctly, can guarantee your financial security, and in the future, even your freedom. The question is, are you willing to change your mindset and start building a secure financial future? What is the 10% rule? The 10% rule is a simple but extremely powerful principle. Every time you receive money, before spending it on anything, set aside 10% to invest. This amount will be your financial security and the basis for building your wealth. Think of it as a payment to yourself. Every month you pay rent, electricity bills, groceries, but what if before paying anything you paid yourself first? This is the core idea of the 10% rule. What makes this technique so effective is its simplicity. No matter how much you earn, you can always set aside 10%, and if it seems difficult now, start with less, 5%, 2%, and gradually increase it. The important thing is to create the habit. The key to financial success is not how much money you earn, but what you do with it. If you start today setting aside 10% of everything you earn and putting that money to work, in a few years, you will have a financial reserve that can give you freedom and security. The only question you need to ask yourself now is, are you willing to take that first step? If the answer is yes, then start now. Grab a sheet of paper or open the notepad on your cell phone and write, "Starting today, I will set aside 10% of everything I earn to invest in my future." Now, make this an unbreakable rule. To make this habit automatic, set up an automatic transfer to a separate account as soon as your paycheck arrives. And if 10% seems like a lot at first, start with 5%, 2%. The important thing is to get started. The decision is in your hands. You can keep putting it off, or you can take that first step today. So tell me, are you going to take action, or are you going to let this opportunity pass you by? Comment below, I'll start today. And let's build your path to financial freedom together. Many people believe that in order to get rich, you need to earn a lot of money. But the truth is that wealth doesn't come from how much you earn, but from what you do with what you earn. That's why small financial habits make all the difference over time. In a small village, a cat named Whiskers discovered a magic fish in a pond. The fish promised 3 wishes in exchange for its freedom. Whiskers wished for endless fish, a cozy bed, and a bell that rang softly. The fish granted all 3 wishes and swam away, leaving Whiskers content and purring in the sun. If you look at millionaires who built their fortunes from scratch, you'll see that they all have one thing in common: discipline. They didn't get rich overnight, but they created habits that ensured their financial growth over the years. And one of these habits is precisely setting aside a portion of their income before spending it. The 10% rule works because it turns saving into an automatic habit. It may seem difficult at first, but after a few months it will become second nature. The secret is consistency. You don't need to save large amounts all at once. The important thing is to save regularly every month without exception. Another important point is to avoid falling into the trap of immediate gratification. Many people prefer to spend money now rather than invest in the future. But if you learn to control this impulse, you can reap much greater rewards in the future. Imagine, what if you had started saving 10% of everything you've ever earned in your life? How much money would you have today? What could you do with that amount? The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. The mathematics of the 10% rule now. Let's talk numbers. For those who don't believe in the power of the 10% rule, it's important to visualize how this strategy works in practice. Suppose you earn $3,000 per month. If you follow this rule and set aside 10% of your salary, you'll be saving $300 per month. Doesn't seem like much. Now imagine you do this for a year. $300 x 12 months. $3,600 accumulated. Now let's go a step further. What if, instead of just saving this money, you invested this amount in something that yields 10% per year? The growth would be much greater. Here's a hypothetical scenario. $300 invested monthly at a rate of 10% per year. In 10 years, you'd have approximately $60,000. In 20 years, this amount could exceed $200,000. This is without having to increase your income or make extreme sacrifices, only with discipline and consistency. The most interesting thing is that as your salary increases, the amount you invest also increases. Thus, your financial reserve becomes increasingly larger. Now, imagine if you started investing a little more than 10%. How much could you accumulate in a lifetime? How to overcome difficulties in saving money? If the 10% rule is so simple and effective, why do so many people have difficulty applying it? The answer lies in habits and lack of financial control. One of the biggest difficulties is the high cost of living. Many people argue that they can't save money because they can barely pay the bills. If this is your case, start small. It doesn't have to be 10% right away. It can be 5%, 2%, or even 1%. The important thing is to create the habit. Another barrier is consumerism. We are constantly bombarded with advertising, encouraging us to spend money on things we don't need. To avoid falling into this trap, make a financial plan and establish priorities. A practical tip to ensure that you always save your 10% is to automate this process. Set up an automatic transfer to a separate account as soon as you receive your salary. This way, you won't even see the money and won't be tempted to spend it. Remember, the biggest enemy of your financial freedom is a lack of discipline. If you can overcome these challenges, you will be on the right path to financial security, where to invest that 10%, so that money works for you. Saving money is not enough. If you just accumulate money and let it sit idle, it will lose value over time due to inflation. That's why the 10% rule needs to be accompanied by smart investments. There are several options to make your money grow. 1. Fixed income. If you want security, you can invest in CDBs, Tesoro Directo, or DI funds. These options offer predictable returns and low risk. 2. Real estate investment funds, FIIs. Excellent for those who want passive income. You can invest in real estate without having to buy one directly. 3. Stocks and ETFs. For those looking for higher returns in the long term, investing in the stock market can be an excellent option. 4. Cryptocurrencies and alternative investments. Although riskier, they can be good opportunities if studied correctly. The secret is to diversify. Don't put all your money into a single investment. This way you minimize risks and maximize gains. Real stories. Those who applied and transformed their lives to prove that this rule really works. Let's talk about some real stories. One of the best-known examples is that of Warren Buffett. He started investing small amounts and over the years built a billion-dollar fortune. But he always emphasizes that the secret is not in making a lot of money, but in investing constantly. Another example is of ordinary people who adopted this habit. Many people who started saving and investing 10% of their salary were able to retire early, pay off debts, and live more comfortably. The big lesson is that anyone can apply this strategy, regardless of income. The important thing is to start and maintain discipline. Now let's look at the other side. What happens to those who never save money? The result is an endless cycle of work and bills to pay. Without a financial reserve, any emergency can turn into a disaster. Without investments, you will be forced to work forever, as you will never have a source of passive income. Worse still, without planning, retirement can be a nightmare. Many people reach old age without enough money to live with dignity. If you don't start preparing now, you will be doomed to depend on the government, family members, or continue working until the end of your life. The decision is yours. Now that you know the 10% rule, the question is, are you going to continue ignoring this strategy, or are you going to start applying it today? If you really want to have a secure financial future, you need to act now. Don't wait until you earn more money to get started. Start with what you have. If you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Share in the comments what your biggest challenge is in saving money. Remember, the decision to have a peaceful financial life is in your hands. Now the choice is yours.